Okay.
Ready? At this time, I will call the May 3rd Board of Commissioners meeting to order. We will start out with the prayer by Commissioner Wyatt and the pledge by myself.
God in heaven, I thank you personally for the opportunity to feel your graciousness in putting me and the fellows in the position to issue governance within this county. It's a wonderful opportunity, and I'm especially appreciative, Lord, of what's happening here in the United States with the movement of our Supreme Court to side on the side of life. Because if we don't side on the side of life, we have no freedom to argue about it any way. So for that, I'm grateful. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. Moving on, Leslie, can you do roll call, please?
Sure. District 1 Chairman Black,
Present.
District 2 Commissioner Heberling,
Present.
District 3 Commissioner Sarcella,
Here.
District 4 Commissioner Ballard,
Here.
District 5 Commissioner Wyatt.
Here.
Thank you, Leslie. Moving on to additions, corrections, deletions to our agenda. We have a salmon colored piece of paper here with two additions, NFA 018-22 and NFA 019-22. I will entertain a motion to adopt the agenda with the amendment of adding these two motions.
I'll make support.
We have a motion from Commissioner Ballard. We have support from Commissioner Heberlein. Is there any discussion on the issue? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to our meeting minutes from our April 19th and May 2nd special meeting. If there are no additions, corrections, or deletions, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make that motion to approve April 19th, 2022 minutes. Support.
We have a motion from Commissioner Heberlein, support from Commissioner Sarcella. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Can we get another motion to approve the May 2nd meeting minutes, please?
I'll make that motion. Support.
We have a motion from Commissioner Heberlein and support from Commissioner Ballard to approve the May 2nd special BOC meeting minutes. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Correspondence, petitions, and introductions. You should have received your correspondence from Jody if there was any yesterday. We will now move on to commissioner reports. We will start with Commissioner Sarcella.
I haven't been able to attend meetings, but have sent out updates to the village of Lexington, Lexington Township, and city of Croswell.
Okay, thank you.
Bill, I have a question for you. You send out updates, you email them?
Yes. Yeah, usually the clerk at each municipality, and then they put it in the board packets for us.
Jerry?
Me, yep. I have nothing to report from last month. Attended my township meetings, and we've had our county planning meeting, and my township meetings start tonight with Watertown, and I cannot make it tonight. So I sent them my monthly report, and the reason I'm not going, I want to plug in for the Forgotten Men's Ministry, which is part of our sheriff's office over here. And Dave Solowitz is the chaplain in our sheriff office here. And it's really a good ministry. It helps a lot of people out in that. And they have a banquet at our Countryside Free Methodist Church tonight. And it's going to be a banquet and a fundraiser. But I just want to put a plug in for the Forgotten Men's Ministry. It's a great ministry and outreach for our people that come into our jail, in and out of our jail.
Thank you. I myself only have to report that I've been working with a few residents in the Forester Township area with some concerns that they have. That's all I have for a report. Roger?
I attended the Buell Township meeting. One big topic they've had for months is medical marijuana grows, state license grows, and they have opted to not allow those in their township. They don't feel they're big enough, and there's really no gain for the township. I went to Elk Township. They're pretty busy there. They have had 17 building permits in the first quarter. They're doing a couple of road culvert replacements. They signed their Sumco agreement, and they're working on their planning update. Village of Peck, they accepted the resignation of Tim Hayden from their board and swore in their new council member, and I don't have his name. They're using their ARPA funds for two pretty good sized street projects in Peck. And their village park cleanup is May 21st. Medical care facility, they, like everybody, they're having staffing issues. They have managed to hire 2 new therapists over there. And they have some more possibilities coming in. So we hope they succeed in getting those people. Parks, we filled our seasonal position at Lexington and have received no applications for Evergreen. We do have 2 seasonal 30-hour-a-week positions, if anybody knows students, retirees, anybody that would like to work outdoors. It's mainly custodial and groundskeeping. They can get an application on the county website, salem.county.net. My works, the Michigan Works May meeting has been canceled. On the community mental health, their substance abuse program, they hope to have that up and running on a small scale this month yet, and we'll go from there and grow, hopefully. So that's it.
Thank you, Roger. Joel?
Well, we got a couple meetings tonight. One in Speaker Township, planning committee meeting in Fremont. To speak of Speaker Township of Fremont, those are 2 of the communities in my district that are affected by the Liberty wind program, wind energy conversion systems that's going in. And I went to a meeting last night in Lynn Township. It was a little heated. And unfortunately, you know, it's a group of people that are upset, residents with very reasonable frustrations. But unfortunately, it falls down to folks not participating in this grand experiment of local government. And I've sat here for 3.5 years saying to folks, be involved at the local level, hold your local elected officials accountable, go to the meetings, find out what's going on. And because if we don't do that, things like a wind energy conversion system comes through and takes people by surprise. Now, it's true, most townships have a local paper that they are required by law to put public notifications in. And they do that. And one of the complaints is, well, it's a little tiny notification. Who reads that? You have an obligation as a citizen, if you want to have a voice in what goes on in your hometown and community, to do exactly that, to read those notifications and show up. It does fall on you. Granted, there are some rooms for improvement with townships for notification. It would be not unheard of in a small community, particularly with ARPA funding, to maybe facilitate some kind of electronic notification system, whether it's an email list of residents that are interested in knowing what's going on and have emails, or a social media website that you activate that you participate in. There's a lot of options, but the law requires notification with the paper of record, and they do that. But you have an obligation as a citizen to exercise your rights and responsibilities to show up at those meetings and again, hold them accountable. And unfortunately, that didn't happen. But anyhow, there's a group of people there that are upset and they would like to do things. They would like to express their frustration and hopefully change the course of events as they're moving forward. Along those lines, I'd like to go to those meetings tonight, but instead I'll be going to the Sanilac County Career Center because the engineering and design group goes to a Society of Automotive Engineers function every year. It's a pretty cool event because it's high school students who participate all year long building and designing a racing vehicle that they race against college students from colleges across the country. And Sanilac Career Center has been doing that for years. Well, this year's event is held in New York, and apparently it's held in a facility that we just found out requires everyone to be fully vaccinated to the standards of New York. So you can imagine the frustration for these kids who have been working their tails off all year long building these vehicles to be told that they can't enter the event to participate. So we're going to have a meeting, I guess, tonight at the Sanilac Career Center at 6 o'clock to find out what we're going to do in terms of participating or not participating. So that's an unfortunate thing, but I'm going to be there, lend my voice.
That's a shame because they've done very well on
They've
those
done
events.
very well,
over the
Roger.
years.
You are correct.
They've been in what, top 5 or better?
Yes.
At times.
And again, they're competing against college students and college teams with far greater budgets than what we have here at Sand Career Center. And they do a really good job there. They got 3 instructors that teach these kids the basic mechanics of building these vehicles from the ground up. They do all the machine work, all the design, all the welding. It's pretty good. And a lot of these kids go on, receive scholarships or go on to jobs like that. That's what's happening.
Excellent report. Thank you, Commissioner Wyatt. At this time, I will sadly ask Tara for her last administrator's report.
Well, to elaborate a little bit on the wind disputes, the MREC Executive Committee, we've been meeting every Friday. So as you know, there's Gratiot County, Tuscola County, Huron, and Sanilac that are involved in the potential settlement with DTE. So we've advanced and we should have all the townships that have signed the resolution to accept the agreement by mid-May. So that's good news. So that's advancing. Might be a little bit of gap in coverage, but once your new administrator is appointed, then they could sit on that committee as well. There's still a lot of work to be done. We still have Exelon and consumers. So I'm sure there'll be more to come on that. And I guess we'll hear more from you too. And then other than that, I've just been working on my exit plan. So we've been cross-training. I've been sitting with staff, putting together some, and then wrapping up some last minute projects. You'll see, I think a couple of them will flow through on the next finance agenda, not today, but on the 17th. But we had some RFPs go out for carpeting in the courthouse, so that'll be coming up soon. We're working on concrete for the recycling center, and we do have bids back for that, so that's good news. And then we were just working on a healthcare item with the road commission, so you'll see that on the 17th finance agenda. So yeah, other than that, I just want to say thank you. It's been a great 4 years and 4 months, almost 5 months, and I just appreciate all the support that I've had from you. So thank you. And I'm a phone call away, so if you need anything, you know where to find me.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tara. Any questions for Tara?
No.
Cheap shots, last chance?
Do
Meeting's not over
I
yet.
need to dig in on this insurance with the road commission?
Nope, I think we're good.
I seen your
We're all set.
email on it. and
Yeah, I have an item on the finance agenda, so, or Jody will have an item.
Thank you very much, Tara.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to public comments pertaining to today's agenda. Are there any public comments pertaining to today's agenda? Hearing none, we'll move on to appointments to standing committees. We have none. There are no county commissioner appointments to other committees. There is none. County commission chair appointments, there are none. There are no general resolutions. So we will jump into committee reports. We will start with Commissioner Wyatt.
Okay, so the Personnel Committee and the Policy Committee has met. There are some recommendations they'll be putting forward on the next finance agenda regarding personnel and policy, some minor changes, positive changes that particularly for the court that will enable them to carry out their mission. Anything else about
That's
that?
about it.
Oh, we did. Thankfully, Jody helped us reevaluate that policy that we talked about, remember, with the food trucks and stuff. The county's a nonprofit organization that qualifies for not having a permit fee. So that was a pretty easy fix, right? Yeah.
Okay,
So that was positive.
good, good. Happy to hear that. Anything else?
I'd say that's about it, unless, Gary, did I miss anything in personnel? Will you cover it?
No, just we approved the replacement for temporary for Trudy's
Yes.
position, and we approved the request by Leslie to backfill. Lori Cullen is taking that job.
Yeah.
You approved a temporary for the treasurer's office related to maternity leave?
Yes,
With the provisions, well,
it's gonna come.
we're recommending that we approve it, but with the provisions that it starts, I think like a week prior to.
To
August.
mid-July.
For an opportunity to train
Yeah.
the temporary. Okay. Excellent. Anything further?
No, I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you. Roger?
Nope, I already spewed mine out in my other report.
Okay. Well, The ARPA committee met today and we actually took some action today. So we, as a group, had full consensus amongst the ARPA committee to move forward with the water fill stations, which will replace the water fountains along with a water bottle fill station. There'll be one on each floor within the facility. Each one of these items I'm about to discuss will move to the finance committee level, whereas a full board will have an opportunity to discuss, approve or disapprove that. The other thing that we also came up with is that the Parks Commission had an application related to increasing the amount of sites at Evergreen Park, up 61 new sites.
Yeah.
A couple takeaways that really struck the ARPA committee was that the Parks and Recreation were matching funds there. So their request was for 300,000 of ARPA. Their match funds was actually higher than what they were asking for. And we also saw that 61 sites increases the opportunity for revenue within the park system. So it seemed,
I want to clarify that. It's not, the sites are there. This is the addition of septic to those sites, which
Oh.
still increases revenue.
right, because you can,
That makes that park 100% full hookup,
okay.
which is kind of unheard of in camping world.
And you obviously have a need for more hookups
Yeah,
like that. I mean,
absolutely.
Campers aren't camping anymore. They're dragging their house behind the pickup
Yes.
to the,
Yes,
right? You know,
Yes, they
so,
are.
It's glamping.
right.
Yeah, it's glamping.
See, Bill's got the term down. There's a word for this.
yes.
It's glamping.
Glamping.
Emirates camping.
I just wanted to clarify that. The sites are there. They have water and electric.
Okay, that's good clarification. Well, good. Well, that's a good project moving forward. The Sheriff's Department had a request in for ARPA that was also moved forward to finance today, and it is related to the water softener / water heater tank setup that's in the new jail. Those types of pieces of equipment do fail after a period of time. Maybe it wasn't the greatest layout the way it was originally laid out. So this will actually bring that equipment up to par, but it'll also make it so if there's repairs in the future, they'll be much easier to facilitate. So,
And I think what that Lieutenant McConaughey suggested, they can shut one half it down, and repair another, right? You know,
Nice.
You're never without water.
yeah. And then Lieutenant McConaughey reached out and was able to actually get some, I'm not sure if all of us or some of us were able to see what they outlined is very common sense, an excellent way moving forward. So, and then Gary, can you help me out with the fourth thing that we approved?
That was the tank, the removal of the tank.
Oh, okay,
at,
yeah. So
at the sheriff office.
the county currently utilizes an underground fuel tank that we get fuel from, and that tank is in need of replacement. So rather than blindly replacing that tank and staying with status quo, administration ran some very effective numbers to show us that we would never pay off the cost of a new tank. So we're not actually saving any money by having a new tank. So we're going to,
Plus it's a liability.
we approved a project to remove that tank, make it as if it was never there. And then we will be facilitating cards to employees that will be purchasing their fuel from a fuel station.
Good move.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
There's a place to go get that, right?
Having
Right.
dealt with that tank for 14 years, that's excellent.
Yeah. Moving on from that, we had another negotiation today with the unions. That's moving forward. I feel like within a couple of weeks, we'll probably have a final answer on that. And then also Roger and I have been moving forward, meeting with and working with the medical care facility team. And one of the add-on items on today's agenda is related to that. So we'll discuss that further at that time. That's all I have.
I think Joel and I covered personnel. We covered our committee we had today, so I'm gonna turn it over to Bill.
Attended Child Abuse and Prevention Council meeting. It's Child Abuse Prevention Month. They're also considering a new vehicle. And they finally have some applications for their victim advocate position, so they'll be able to conduct some interviews and hopefully fill that position. And then HDC out of Caro, they've finally got all their COVID money in, about 621,000. So they've been spending some of that down, but also having some issues with program because they don't have staffing to run their program. And then they have another grant that they received for 186,000 that they're going to hang on to until they make sure that they can utilize it the way the feds want them to do that. And then one thing that I found a little disturbing was our unemployment agency audited HDC in 2020 going back to 2017 and ended up finding them over $21,000 because they're claiming that the contractors that HDC uses for the senior services. So within the 3-county area that's supported with our millage here, they have about 130 residents that they do a variety of chores for essentially. And so unemployment agency is telling HDC that they have to treat those contractors as employees. And so the decision's probably going to have to be made moving forward that HDC is going to have to eliminate the senior services because the amount of money, they calculated what it would cost to have all the contractors be full-time employees or employees with benefits to the tune of about $590,000, which they can't sustain.
That's an important service that HDC provides to the community.
Correct.
And who goes back 13 years in an audit?
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
It's an example of big government right there, getting in the way, and we're gonna lose services in this county because of it.
So they have, with my suggestion, they've reached out to the senators that represent the area, and hopefully there'll be some resolution to that. In the meantime, they just really have no choice. Even though they had a ruling, but the unemployment agency UIA refused to look at it from back in the late 90s, where Uncle Sam, the feds, IRS is saying that those employees can be contractors. But they refuse to acknowledge that. And their attorney basically advised them to pay the $21,000 in the previous fine. And then moving forward, they probably are going to have to absolve those services and then come back to the counties that provide the millage and make adjustments with that as well. Potentially, if they can't get that resolved.
So this is the unemployment agency
Yep.
soon?
Yeah, the state unemployment
It's funny,
agency
because I
is
just heard in the
fine.
news the other day that unemployment throughout America paid $440 billion
And fraudulent claims.
fraudulent funds. So they're not watching their own in-house, right?
Bill, do you think there's any possibility for the Board of Commissioners to pass a resolution one way or the other on that issue to try to support HDC in continuing their services? Or do you feel like the state representatives and senators are the better avenue?
I don't think it would hurt to have a resolution on file as well.
I would
Actually,
be very comfortable moving forward with something like that. So maybe we can
for the next
collaborate.
meeting. Right.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a shame that it's come to that. They just, and usually if you look at the individuals that are doing contractors, sometimes the guys are on fixed income, so they can only make so much money. So if you have them as a W-2, then their other benefits start getting taxed. So then they just drop off from being a contractor altogether. So it's just, it's a bad cycle right now.
Right.
But you're right, Mr. Chairman, that's big government getting out of the lane, and getting everybody else's lane. Yeah, that's horrible.
Okay, that's all I have.
Okay.
You done?
So they've already had lawyers looking at it and reviewing it. And they said, pay the fine and
Yeah.
stop doing it, right?
Well, like John alluded to, big government, one of the issues that they were having was every time the case comes up, it's got a different case number. There's a different worker working the case number. So they basically have to keep backing up and starting all over every time they try to appeal it. Right now, they're in status of they're going to be able to appeal in front of a referee. So there'll actually be a person involved now. So I'm not sure where that's going to go. That has not happened yet. That's something that's scheduled in the future.
It might be advantageous if we support them with a resolution, give them one more thing in their file folder to take to that referee meeting. That might be helpful.
Okay, I'll make that connection over there.
I'm happy to collaborate with you on that,
Okay,
Bill.
all right,
We can get that into our next meeting. Okay, moving on from committee reports, we'll go into unfinished business. There is none, so we will move on to new business. And that will take us into FA 063-22, approval of current claims.
Sanilac County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the payments of current claims for 2022 identified on the accounts payable report dated April 12th, 2022 for the general bank account in the amount of $117,098.11.
Support.
Okay, we have a motion from Finance and Administration Chairman Sarcella, support from Commissioner Ballard. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to FA 066-22, approval of 2022 current claims.
Sanilac County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the payment of current claims for 2022 identified on the accounts payable report dated April 26, 2022 for the general bank account in the amount of $136,767.86. Support.
We have a motion from Commissioner Sarcella, support from Commissioner Heberlin. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried. Moving on to FA 067-22, budget adoptions, amendments, appropriations, and transfers.
Santa Ana County Board of Commissioners hereby approves the following budget amendment and transfers as listed.
We have a motion from Commissioner Sarcella, support from Commissioner Heberlin. Is there any discussion?
Yes, I had spent a little bit of time with our budget or our finance director asking some questions about this. And one thing she couldn't identify was the parks related things. And she said that maybe you could speak to those.
Yeah, we're trying to clean up some cash, actually some cash intake for little items. They sell shirts up there and stuff like that. There's never been a line. So this recreational programming line was a request of the MDNR last year. So I discussed it with Christie about establishing one, not only for parks in general, but each individual park. And that money, there will be a revenue line. There's already a miscellaneous revenue for each park. It will go into that. This is an expense line for those items to restock and also for supporting their special events that they do. The grounds care, those are transfers, those are millage funds. Evergreen, the project that we're going to be working on, that won't take place should we get the grant till next year. That money was needed over in Lexington for the Boardwalk Stairway project. So we're just doing adjustments to cover some of these projects. Hope that clarifies it.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried. Moving on to FA 068-22, authorization of temporary employee.
Santa Ana County Board of Commissioners hereby authorizes the administration office hire a temporary employee during the leave of an employee for 4 to 5 months with immediate approval.
Support.
We have a motion from Commissioner Sarcella, support from Commissioner Ballard. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried. Moving on to FA 069-22, authorization to post and fill census worker.
Santa Ana County Board of Commissioners hereby authorizes animal control post and fill a seasonal part-time summer census worker from May through November at a pay grade 1, step 1.
Support. We have a motion from Commissioner Sarcella, support from Commissioner Heberlin. Is there any discussion? Have we had any success finding somebody for this role?
Well, it's funny you bring that up. We may actually have a grant opportunity through Michigan Works for a potential candidate where they would cover their wages. I
Great.
don't know. I think it might only be 60 days, but it's a nice little shot in the arm for this department.
So a grant for reimbursement of wages.
If
That's
we-
great, but
if we were
finding
to-
someone.
Well, they may have someone,
Oh, terrific.
so they would actually supply the individual.
The individual and the money.
That's
So-
right there, yeah.
I'm
Don't
sure
get that
there'll be
every
more
day.
to come,
No, no.
but it's still in the works.
Okay, that's great information, Tara. Thank you.
How'd you find that out?
I was talking to Danielle Galbinski, so she's
Did
been in contact.
So she was the go-between?
Yeah.
Good job on her part.
Yeah.
I thought you had applied for the job.
Not an animal lover.
I like animals, just don't know what I mean ones.
Okay, is there any further discussion related to this item? Hearing none, all in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried. Moving on to FA 070-22, authorization for payment of invoice Parks Commission.
Santa Ana County Board of Commissioners hereby authorizes payment to Townley Engineering LLC for services provided, including gathering topographical information, performing design, and providing bidding assistance for Lexington Park Boardwalk project at a cost not to exceed $8,110 with funding from the Parks millage.
Support.
We have a motion from Commissioner Sarcella, support from Commissioner Ballard. Is there any discussion on the topic? Hearing none, all in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Moving on to NFA 016-22, authorization for board chairman to sign.
Santa Ana County Board of Commissioners hereby authorizes Jonathan Block, Board Chairman, to execute and sign any necessary paperwork during the transition period of appointing an administrator/controller.
Support. We have a motion from Commissioner Sarcella, support from Commissioner Heberlin. Is there any discussion on the topic? Hearing none, all in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried. Moving on to NFA 017-22, authorization, health, dental, and vision recommendation.
San Luis County Board of Commissioners hereby authorizes offering effective July 1st, 2022, 3 self-funded Aetna health plans through Meritain Health for active employees and non-medical and Medicare eligible retirees. POS 25, $500 deductible plan, POS 2,000, 4,000 deductible plan, POS health savings account, 3,300, 6,600 deductible plan with an employer-funded deposit paid in quarterly installments. Further authorizes effective July 1st, 2022 revised employee premium contributions in compliance with the hard cap limit set by the Michigan Department of Treasury of $7,399 for single person coverage, $15,474.60 for double coverage, $20,180.43 for family coverage, MCL 15.563 as amended. Further authorizes Medicare eligible retirees remain on the Humana VeraPro Medicare Advantage zero deductible plan through December 31st, 2022, with revised premium contribution rates beginning July 1st, 2022. Further authorizes effective July 1st, 2022, the self-funded dental plan through Delta Dental for coverage period of July 1, 2022 through June 30th, 2023.
We have a motion from Commissioner Sarcella. Is there support? Support. We have support from Commissioner Wyatt. Is there discussion?
Any addition to that you want to bring up?
We don't have rates just yet, but this is typical just to, adopt the plan outlines with regard to the deductibles. And we are planning to keep everything the same. We're just waiting on the rates.
You feel like we'll have those within possibly a week from today?
I think so, because we wanted to get started with our enrollment at the end of this month. So you'll probably have them on your next meeting.
Okay. Good information. Any further discussion about the topic? Hearing none, all in favor signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. We will now move on to our salmon colored sheet. We will start with NFA 018-22.
San Luis County Board of Commissioners hereby recommends a medical care facility accepts the following consulting proposal for operational improvement guidance from consultant Ruth McAlpine with funding from county ARPA funds reimbursed from the county of Sanilac to the medical care facility.
We have a motion from Finance Administration Chairman Sarcella. Is there support?
Support.
I'm gonna
That's fine.
give that to Commissioner Ballard. We have support from Commissioner Ballard. Is there any discussion on the topic? Hearing none, all in favor signal by saying aye.
John, forgive me. I think it'd be a quick summarization from those that have been involved would be nice.
Yeah, absolutely. So as everybody is aware, we contracted with HDG Consulting Services to do an audit of the medical care facility to identify operational issues within the facility. So moving forward from that, we've been trying to find the best way forward to support that facility with some expertise in a variety of areas. I have to give Commissioner Wyatt a good prop here for being very helpful in finding Ruth McAlpine. Because after looking at all the data and all the proposals that we received, it became quite clear that she was likely the most qualified and also at a reasonable cost to help us out with this particular situation. So I have had a discussion with the chairman of the MCF board. It is their intention to hold a special meeting tomorrow to approve this contract, at which point I will reach out and talk with Ruth about a start date for her. And I do plan to sit down and meet with her myself prior to sending her over to the facility to get started.
Well, this is a good step in the right direction and after a long period of time of analysis, expensive analysis. And Ruth's interpretation seems to be spot on.
Yep, I would agree. And from the research I've done with her accomplishments in her career, I have a high level of confidence that she'll be able to give us some no nonsense answers as to how we move forward.
We're invested in the success of that facility.
Correct.
Yep.
Absolutely.
That's what we're here for.
And I think we all agree, we've all been to our township meetings and been to other meetings, and we need the medical care facility. And I think it was up to us to find a way to make that viable. And I think, like you said, the HDG we hired, a little bit expensive. But John and I were talking this morning, the best part of this, we're gonna make it viable for years to come and get it turned in the right direction. And I'm not saying everything was in the wrong direction, but we need to make some adjustments. So
Personally, I feel that was money well spent because
Yeah.
they did a very thorough audit of both operations and finances. And we'll be able to work off of that report, Ruth will,
Yeah.
and intends to. So
Yeah, and this is wonderful because we've identified shortcomings, say, right? And now we've got solutions to move forward and we're actually doing something about it.
And both Ruth and HG saw the same thing. So, I mean,
Yes.
it's good.
And I think it's worth of note too, that the millage that currently exists for medical care facility is up for renewal. And that at this time, the game plan is to evaluate what that millage request truly needs to be and aim for the November ballot.
It's worth, I'm glad you brought that up, John, because it's definitely worth noting. If anyone paid attention to last December, when we had that lively discussion regarding millage language and coming up to the Board of Commissioners for approval, it was my contention that we have an obligation and responsibility to evaluate that, whether or not we should move forward with it. And we've had some success with the millage, with rather the ballots being presented to us with reports and summaries of how successful they've been. And here we have an example where there has been, the results were less than successful and caused us to consider delaying the support of the millage until November, while we get things straightened out with the assistance of an experienced consultant. And we're doing so because we want continued success for the medical care facility, and we want to have transparency on the part of the commissioners telling the constituents that we're 100% behind this and you should trust us when we present a ballot for your approval.
It's a very valid point, Commissioner Wyatt. Is there any further discussion about the acceptance of the operational improvement guidance for the medical care facility?
Good job, guys.
Thank you
It
for,
was John and Roger, right?
yes.
Well done.
Well, and Gary was highly involved in it too.
Thank you, Gary.
Tara and Christie and
But yeah, it was a team effort for sure. Okay, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Moving on to NFA 019-22, offer of administrator controller position.
Santa Ana County Board of Commissioners hereby offers the position of Administrator Controller to Nathan Roski with the terms of his contract to be negotiated with two commissioners appointed by Chairman Block.
Support.
We have a motion from Finance Administration Chairman Sarkella, support from Commissioner Ballard. Is there any discussion about the topic?
We'll be meeting with Nathan shortly.
Yes. All those in favor?
It was a good experience yesterday. It was a public hearing, public meeting. Nobody showed up. But we were transparent about it. We interviewed, the two final applicants right here. Spent well over an hour interviewing them with a set of identical questions that were given.
Each one of them.
Applicant.
Each one.
Yeah, to each one, yeah. And we came up with what we believe is going to be a really good county administrator moving forward.
And thank you to the Personnel Committee for whittling down 27 applicants to 6. You guys did a great job. We interviewed 2 excellent candidates yesterday, just as you described. Everything went fantastic, and I believe we have an excellent candidate here. So
I think you're going to leave it in good hands.
there's nothing further. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried, and I am appointing myself and Commissioner Huberling to be the 2 commissioners to negotiate the contract with Mr. Roski. And we will be starting that process directly following this meeting, or the finance meeting. Okay, at this time, we'll move on to general public comments. Are there any general public comments? Hearing none.
Linda's good.
So you guys are doing a good job.
Well, thank you. We appreciate
Thank
that.
you.
We like those kind of public comments.
Any more positive public comment?
One more time.
Thank
Got
you.
one back.
Good job.
My first time here
Sure.
at one of your meetings. and doing great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, at this,
We got 2 more over here.
we do appreciate anyone that attends our meetings. The purpose of these meetings is to conduct county business in the view of public. And so it is always, just as Commissioner Wyatt identified earlier in the meeting, it is important that people attend these meetings. It is important that people attend your township meetings. The issue that Commissioner Wyatt was speaking to is zoning related issues. Those hit very close to home. So there are meetings out there that are important that people attend, and it is important that you do read the newspaper and review the postings that are in there. They're in there for a reason. So
Related to that, Buell Township's decision on their medical marijuana was a direct result of resident participation. Not necessarily by being at all the meetings, but answering mailings that they sent out and that sort of thing. They did listen to their citizens. It wasn't just 5 people sitting there that decided they didn't want to deal with it. So they did a good job.
very good. Okay, at this time, we will move on. We have no closed session. We do have an approval of closed session minutes. And those would be from the April 5th closed session. So I'll entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the,
I don't have April 5th. I got April 19th.
April 19th.
oh, is that what it is?
Yeah. What you're looking at is what you signed on April 5th as opposed to, maybe that's what you're looking at.
Okay,
That's just our initials on there.
so we still need an approval for April 19th meeting minutes.
Make a motion to approve.
Support.
We have a motion from Commissioner Ballard to approve our April 19th closed session meeting minutes with support from Commissioner Sarcella. Is there any discussion?
Just a real quick discussion. Leslie and I were talking about how we're doing this. If you recall, gentlemen, it was because quite often we don't have closed sessions for a long time and we don't remember what went on. And so by doing it this next meeting, we're better able to, identify that these meetings or the minutes are representative of what we actually experienced. And Leslie was bringing up that, the possibility exists that we might have a disagreement on the meeting minutes. And if that was the case, it would be necessary for us to go into closed session and discuss that, fix those minutes, and then come out of closed session. But one of the things we were talking about was like, I said, I don't ever remember having a discussion about the minutes that we ever disagreed with, but possibly because none of us could remember what it was from 3 months ago, right? So,
Right.
so maybe doing it this way, it might come up that we'll have a discussion about minutes. We'll see, but.
Okay. I think that makes sense. And it is better to approve them directly following. Is there any further discussion related to the topic? Hearing none, all in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Last thing on our agenda is adjournment. I'll entertain.
Move to adjourn.
Support. We have a motion from Commissioner Heberlin, support from Commissioner Sarcella. All those in favor, signal by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.